Have you ever looked at your cat and just wondered, what is going on in that little head of theirs? I mean, they can be so mysterious, right? So independent. But what if I told you that all those weird little things they do, the meows, the staring, the, let's say, questionable gifts they bring you aren't random at all? What if it's all part of a secret language? Well, today we're going to learn how to speak cat. So what is your cat really trying to say? It's the big question, isn't it? We love them, we live with them, but a lot of the time, we're just not speaking the same language. This whole explainer is about closing that gap. We're going to translate their behavior, and we'll use some pretty fascinating science to do it. All right, first up, the meow. You probably think it's just their standard way of saying hello or feed me, but that sound, it's so much more than that. It's a carefully crafted tool, and it's been developed for one very specific audience, you. Yeah, that demanding little meow you hear when you open a can of tuna, it's not just some random noise. It is a full-on learned skill. And here's the crazy part. Adult cats almost never meow at each other out in the wild. It's just not a thing they do. So why on earth do they do it to us all the time? Well, it's actually a pretty brilliant adaptation. You see, kittens meow at their mothers to get food and attention, but they're supposed to grow out of it. But then they met us. And they quickly realized that we humans are, well, we're a bit clueless. We don't understand their sophisticated scent marking or their subtle body language. So they just decided to keep using their baby voice on us because it works. And get this, they've even taken it to the next level. Scientists have identified something they call a solicitation purr. It's a specific purr they use only when they want something from you. And hidden inside that low, rumbling purr is a high-frequency cry, one that sounds eerily similar to a human baby. It's a sound our brains are hardwired to respond to. It's basically a secret weapon of persuasion. A little manipulative? Maybe, but also genius. Okay, so we've established they are masters of getting what they want. But how did they show real, genuine affection? Well, let's dive into our next section because some of the biggest signs of feline love are totally silent. And honestly, they're the ones we misunderstand the most. Think about it. In most of the animal kingdom, a direct, unbroken stare is a challenge. It's a threat. It means back off. But when your cat does it, it's something else entirely. It's not aggression. It's often the beginning of a very important conversation. And that conversation is the slow blink. If you're a cat person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Animal behaviorists call it a vulnerability display. By looking at you and slowly closing their eyes, they are sending the clearest signal possible. I trust you so much that I'm willing to be completely defenseless in front of you. It's basically the cat's equivalent of saying, I love you. And the best part is, you can say it back. And it's so easy. Just meet their gaze softly. Don't stare them down. And then you slowly close your own eyes and slowly open them again. You're speaking their language. You're telling them, hey, I trust you too. We're cool. All right, the slow blink is pretty sweet and easy to love. But this next sign of deep affection, it's a little less clean. Oh, you know this scene. You open your back door in the morning, coffee in hand, and there it is. A little present from your furry friend. And let's be real, our first reaction is usually something like, oh, gross. But here's the thing. While we're seeing a crime scene on our welcome mat, our cat is seeing a grand gesture, a tribute. To them, this isn't gross at all. It's a gift of the highest honor, reserved only for family. So what is going through their mind? Well, first, they see you as a member of their family, their colony, but they also see that you are an absolutely terrible hunter. I mean, they've never seen you catch a mouse, right? So they're trying to provide for you. They're trying to teach you how to survive. It might be the last gift you want, but it comes from a place of deep, deep affection. And that gift-giving instinct is a perfect reminder that no matter how cuddly they get, our house cats are still wired like tiny, efficient predators. So let's explore a few more of those echoes from the wild that you probably see every single day and don't even realize it. Does this sound familiar? It's 5 a.m., it's still dark out, and suddenly your cat decides to use your bed as a trampoline and ricochet off the walls. Well, they aren't just being a menace for no reason. That is their ancient evolutionary programming kicking in. You know, a lot of people think cats are nocturnal, but that's not quite right. The scientific term is crepuscular. And all that means is that their bodies are biologically programmed to be most active during the twilight hours, at dawn and at dusk. And there's a really smart reason for this. It's all about prey. At dawn, all the birds are starting to wake up and move around. And at dusk, that's when mice and other little rodents come out to play. So your cat's 5 a.m. zoomies aren't random at all. It's just prime time for hunting. Okay, here's another amazing instinct. If you've ever watched a dog drink water, it's a mess, right? They just kind of use their tongue like a big, sloppy ladle. A cat, on the other hand, is a master of physics. They don't scoop water, they pull it. A cat's tongue just barely touches the surface of the water, and then it retracts at an incredible speed, almost 3 feet per second. This motion creates a column of water that literally defies gravity for a split second, and the cat snaps its jaw shut at the perfect moment to catch it. It's incredibly efficient, and it's why they can drink so neatly. And what about their paws? Turns out, just like people, most cats have a dominant paw. But what's really interesting is research from Queen's University Belfast that found a pattern. Male cats, more often than not, tend to be left-pawed, and female cats, they tend to favor their right. This is a really fun one you can try at home. All you have to do is put a treat in a narrow glass or a jar and see which paw they use to try and fish it out. Go ahead, give it a shot. You might discover you're living with a little lefty. So, we've gone through meows, blinks, gifts, and instincts. Let's put it all together now with a quick little translation guide to help you remember the basics of how to speak cat. So let's just break it down one last time. When your cat gives you that special meow, they're saying, "Hey, I figured out this sound works on you." When they give you that slow blink, they're saying, "I trust you completely." When they leave you that lovely gift, they're saying, "You're family, and you're a terrible hunter, so I'm helping." And those dawn zoomies, that's just their inner clock shouting, "It's hunting time." Understanding all this isn't just about solving a few weird mysteries. It's about deepening the bond you have with your pet. So the next time your cat does something strange, watch a little closer. Now that you're starting to learn their language, what new secrets do you think they'll tell you?
Hey everyone, and welcome. You know that furry little roommate curled up on your couch? Well, they might seem like a simple, snoozing house pet, but believe me, they are hiding some absolutely incredible secrets. Today, we're going to dive into the science-backed superpowers that make the ordinary house cat one of nature's most amazing creatures.
So I have to ask, is your pet a superhero in disguise? And I'm not talking about a comic book fantasy. We're about to look at the seriously advanced biological engineering that makes every single cat a master of survival and, honestly, a perfect hunter.
First up, let's open up their survival toolkit. And we're not just talking about the obvious stuff, like sharp claws and teeth. No, we're going way deeper into the sophisticated internal mechanisms that give them this incredible edge when it comes to resilience and recovery.
We all know that sound, right? A cat purring usually means it's happy and content. But what if I told you that's only like half the story? A cat's purr is actually one of its most fascinating survival tools. It's a form of biomechanical healing. Seriously.
Okay, check this out. A cat's purr vibrates at a frequency somewhere between 25 and 150 hertz. Now, why does that matter? Well, it turns out scientific research has shown that vibrations in this exact frequency range can actually stimulate tissue regeneration, improve bone density, and even help heal tendons.
So their purr isn't just a happy noise. It's an internal healing system. It helps them maintain muscle and bone health while they do what they do best, rest for up to 16 hours a day. And it helps them bounce back from injuries way faster. It's basically built-in physical therapy.
All right, let's move on to something every single one of us has heard about cats, but maybe we don't know how they pull it off. That seemingly physics-defying ability to always land on their feet. And nope, it's not magic. It's pure biology. The secret all starts right here, deep inside the inner ear. Cats have this amazing thing called a vestibular apparatus. The best way to think of it is like a highly sensitive biological gyroscope. The second a cat starts to fall, this system instantly figures out its orientation in space and knows exactly which way is up. And this breaks down the whole incredible process.
Once their inner ear tells them which way is up, they kick off this rapid, super elegant sequence. They use their unbelievably flexible spine, which is helped by the fact they have no functional collarbone, to twist the front half of their body first. Then the back half just follows along, all while they position their paws perfectly for a safe landing. It's just brilliant.
So, we know they have these amazing survival tools. But what about their skills as predators? Let's crack open the advanced sensory arsenal they use for tracking prey and navigating their world. This is where it gets really high-tech.
And the very first weapon in that arsenal is something I like to call ear gymnastics. A cat's hearing is on a completely different level from ours, and it's all thanks to some truly incredible muscular control.
Get ready for this number, 32. That's how many tiny individual muscles a cat uses to control each of its ears. And yeah, they can move them completely independently of each other. The level of precision is just astounding.
This incredible control allows them to turn their ears into a pair of sophisticated little satellite dishes. They can rotate them a full 180 degrees to funnel in sound, and they can pinpoint the exact location of the faintest rustle, like a mouse hiding in the grass, down to just a few inches, even from several feet away.
Okay, so from incredible hearing, let's switch to their legendary night vision. You see, cats are what's called crepuscular hunters, which means they're most active at dawn and dusk. So naturally, their eyes are perfectly engineered for this low-light world.
The key ingredient here is a structure called the tapetum lucidum. It's basically a layer of tissue right behind the retina that's super reflective. And hey, this is the very reason their eyes seem to glow in the dark when light hits them. It's also the source of their amazing night sight.
I mean, this comparison really puts it all into perspective. When light enters our eyes, it passes through the retina just once. But in a cat's eye, that tapetum lucidum acts like a mirror, bouncing the light back through the retina. This gives their photoreceptors a second chance to capture every last little photon of light. It's an unbelievably efficient system.
And for our final superpower, we're going to tackle one of nature's greatest mysteries. You hear these stories all the time, right? How do lost cats manage to navigate incredible distances to find their way home? Well, the answer seems to be a built-in compass.
Yeah, you heard that right. It's basically a biological GPS. The latest research suggests that cats have these tiny deposits of iron-heavy tissues in their ears and even in their brains. The theory is that these tissues are sensitive enough to actually detect the Earth's magnetic field, which allows the cat to orient itself and navigate, just like an internal compass.
So when you put all of these pieces together, from self-healing purrs to physics-defying reflexes and super senses, it becomes really, really clear. We're not just looking at a pet here. We're looking at what is essentially one of nature's perfect machines. And none of the stuff is random. The house cat is the product of millions of years of evolutionary engineering. It's been perfectly honed for survival and for predation. And it doesn't matter if it's out in the wild or just hunting toys in your living room. So let's just recap the complete superhero resume, shall we? You've got a self-healing purr. You've got physics-defying reflexes. You have pinpoint-accurate hearing, superior night vision, and a built-in magnetic GPS. It is an absolutely unbelievable package of biological superpowers, all wrapped up in one small furry predator. And all of this brings us to one final thought, doesn't it? It really makes you wonder, if the humble little house cat is this biologically advanced, what other incredible marvels of nature are hiding right out there in plain sight, just waiting for us to take a closer look?
You know, we all think we know the house cat, right? They're furry, they purr, they nap in sunbeams. But what if I told you that under all that fluff is a creature that is, well, just brilliantly and bizarrely designed?
No, really, think about it. That little fuzzball sleeping on your couch right now, what is actually going on inside that tiny predator? Well, we're about to find out, because trust me, they are so much stranger and more fascinating than you can imagine.
So, we're going to go on a little journey here, right inside the feline form. We're going to explore all the hidden adaptations that make a cat, well, a cat.
get ready because you are never going to look at your pet the same way again.
Okay, first things first. We have to understand that cats don't just live in our world, they're basically living in a totally different reality, one that's shaped entirely by their unique senses.
Let's start with their eyes. Have you ever seen this kind of spooky-looking white film slide across your cat's eyeball? Don't freak out. That's their third eyelid. It's basically a built-in, biological squeegee that cleans and protects their cornea, all without them ever needing to do a full blink.
But here's a super useful tip for all you cat owners out there. While that third eyelid is totally normal, if you see it sticking around for a long time while your cat is wide awake, that can be a little red flag. It might mean they're sick or just really wiped out. It's a tiny but super important health indicator.
All right, so let's move from sight to taste. Have you ever offered your cat a bite of your ice cream or maybe some cake and they just look at you with complete and total indifference? Yeah, there's a very specific reason for that. So look at this. We humans, we've got 5 main taste receptors. But cats, they're missing a big one. They literally cannot taste sweetness. To them, that sugary treat you're offering might as well be a piece of paper.
And this fact puts them in a very, very exclusive club. I mean, think about it. How many animals do you know that are completely sugar blind? But why?
Well, it all comes down to this. Evolution is incredibly efficient. Cats are what we call obligate carnivores, which is just a fancy way of saying they have to eat meat to survive. Their entire system is built for protein and fat, not carbs. So since there's no sugar in their natural diet, the gene to taste it just became useless baggage. And over millions of years, it just vanished.
So their unique sense of taste is one thing, but they also have a physical signature that is 100% their own. Let's try a little thought experiment. If your cat was a criminal, let's say it stole some treats off the counter, what unique evidence would it leave behind? It's probably not what you're thinking.
They wouldn't leave fingerprints, they'd leave a nose print. Yep, you heard that right. That leathery little patch of skin on your cat's nose has a pattern of bumps and ridges that is completely unique to them, just like a human fingerprint. No two are alike.
So, okay, cats see the world through a protective third eyelid, they can't taste sugar, and they have unique nose prints. But how they sense the world is really only half the story. Now let's get into the incredible physics of how they move. This next part is all about the amazing engineering that lets a cat be the quiet, slinky, and frankly, ridiculously effective predator that it is.
Okay, think back to the last time you took your cat to the vet. When you pulled them out of the carrier, did you happen to see a trail of tiny, wet paw prints on the metal table? You probably just figured they stepped in some water, right?
Well, I can almost guarantee you it wasn't water, it was sweat. And more specifically, it was a reaction to stress and fear. Because cats, they sweat through their paws.
And you know, it makes perfect sense when you stop and think about it.
I mean, imagine trying to cool down by sweating if you were covered in thick fur. It would be totally useless, right? So, evolution just put the sweat glands in one of the few places without fur, their feet.
Now let's talk about the way they walk. It's actually super weird. Cats share this really unusual way of moving with only a couple other animals on the entire planet, namely camels and giraffes. It's called a pacing gait.
See, most four-legged animals move their legs in opposition, right front with left back, and so on. But not cats. They move both right legs forward at the same time and then both left legs. It creates this very subtle side-to-side rocking motion as they walk.
So why walk so weirdly? It is all about stealth and stability. This pacing movement is incredibly quiet. It's efficient, and it keeps their body perfectly balanced. For a predator that needs to sneak up on things, that kind of silent, stable walk is a huge advantage.
And all this talk of fluid movement brings us to the internet's absolute favorite question, inspired by thousands of pictures of cats pouring themselves into tiny spaces. Are they actually liquid? Well, anatomically speaking, the answer is almost yes.
And here's the secret. It all comes down to their floating collarbones. See, our collarbones are locked into our skeleton, creating a fixed shoulder width. A cat's collarbones, on the other hand, are tiny and aren't even connected to bone. They're just floating in muscle. This makes their shoulders incredibly compressible.
And this bizarre piece of anatomy leads us to the golden rule of cat physics, something every single cat owner knows deep in their soul. If a cat can get its head through a space, the rest of its squishy, flexible body can almost always follow.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you start to realize something. None of these traits are just random quirks. They're not weird, they're wired. This is the highly specialized blueprint for an apex predator that just happens to live in your house.
Let's just run it back. Their inability to taste sweets, that's the sign of a pure carnivore. That weird pacing walk, perfect for a stealth predator. Those floating collarbones, the ideal tool for an ambush hunter squeezing into tight hiding spots. The third eyelid is a protective shield, and the sweaty paws are just an automatic stress response. You see? Every single strange little thing has a purpose.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. The next time you see your cat chasing a laser pointer, pouring itself into a cardboard box, or leaving those little damp paw prints at the vet's office, remember what you're really looking at. Is it just your quirky little pet, or is it a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, a perfect carnivore, hiding in plain sight? Something to think about.
Have you ever really looked at your cats? You know, the one that's probably curled up on your sofa right now? Well, it turns out that familiar, furry little companion is actually one of the most perfectly engineered creatures on the entire planet.
Seriously, is your cat secretly a superhero? It might sound a little bit crazy, but when you actually dig into the science, the biology, and some of the truly mind-blowing records out there, you start to realize the ordinary house cat is anything but ordinary.
And the best part? All the evidence is hiding in plain sight. So, we're gonna pull back the curtain on the incredible truths that make your cat a straight-up masterpiece of evolution. And let's start with something they do an awful lot of.
Okay, so first up in our deep dive, let's talk about the one thing that completely masks their extraordinary abilities: sleeping. A lot of sleeping.
Yep, you're seeing that right. 16 hours. The average cat spends a staggering 16 hours a day asleep or just dozing. It is so easy to look at that and just think, wow, what a lazy animal. But the truth, it's way more strategic than that. Just think about it this way. By the time a cat is 9 years old, it's only been awake for about 3 of those years. Compare that to a human who's been awake for 6. But this isn't laziness. This is a finely tuned evolutionary superpower. All of that rest is conserving massive amounts of energy for those high-intensity, lightning-fast bursts they need for hunting. It's basically the ultimate power-saving mode.
And all that stored energy brings us to their incredible physique. A cat's body is just a marvel of athletic engineering. It is built from the ground up for one thing and one thing only: the hunt.
Okay, get this. Your average everyday house cat can hit a top speed of 30 miles per hour. That means it's literally faster than the fastest human in history, Usain Bolt. This insane speed comes from a perfect combo of fast-twitch muscle fibers, a hyper-flexible spine that stretches out their stride, and these incredibly powerful hind legs that just launch them forward like a rocket.
Now let's take a look under the hood. A cat's resting heart rate is somewhere between 110 and 140 beats per minute. That's nearly double the average for a person. And no, that's not a sign of stress, it's a feature. Their internal systems are basically running hotter and faster, keeping all their muscles primed and ready for explosive action at a moment's notice. It doesn't matter if it's chasing prey or just escaping danger. They are always ready to go.
But it is not all brawn, not by a long shot. Let's talk about what's going on upstairs. For years, people have had this debate, right? Are cats as smart as dogs? Well, the biology tells a very, very different story. Take a look at these numbers. A cat's cerebral cortex, that's the part of the brain that does all the heavy lifting, the complex problem solving and learning, it contains about 300 million neurons. That is nearly double the 160 million you'd find in a dog. This gives them this immense capacity for processing information and learning. It's exactly how they manage to map out their entire territory, learn our daily routines, and, figure out precisely how to get your attention at 5 a.m. And they have this surprisingly complex communication system. I mean, while dogs have about 10 distinct sounds, cats can produce over 100 different vocalizations.
They even develop specific dialects of meows and chirps and trills just to talk to us, their humans. And get this, it's often completely different from how they talk to other cats.
So their extraordinary nature doesn't just stop with their biology. Individual cats have pushed these amazing abilities to the absolute limit, setting some truly wild world records.
All right, so first up, meet Blackie. Blackie is officially the wealthiest cat in history. When his antique stealer owner passed away back in 1988, he inherited a fortune of $12.5 million. I guess that proves cats can master the art of financial security too. And this is Stewie. Stewie was a Maine Coon who holds the Guinness World Record for the longest domestic cat ever. He measured an unbelievable 48.5 inches. That is just over 4 feet long. Just a stunning example of their genetic potential.
And then there's this. Back in 1970, a cat named Tara gave birth to a record-breaking litter of 19 kittens in a single go. It's just a powerful illustration of their species' incredible drive and biological capacity to thrive.
So, okay, we've seen they're elite athletes, they're intelligent communicators, they're even record breakers. But maybe the most critical thing for us to understand is that for all their familiarity, their biology is fundamentally completely different from ours.
This quote really captures it perfectly. We have to be so careful because what's harmless or even good for us can be extremely dangerous for them.
And this all comes down to their unique liver metabolism. You see, cats just can't properly process certain compounds, like methylxanthines. That's the scientific name for the stimulants you find in really common stuff, like coffee, tea, and of course, chocolate.
Because their bodies can't break these stimulants down, the chemicals just go haywire. They overstimulate their central nervous system and their heart, and that leads directly to these terrifying symptoms. For a cat, even a few laps of spilled coffee can be a genuine medical emergency. It's just a stark reminder that they are not small humans. They are a completely different species.
So, from their athletic prowess to their surprising intellect, the domestic cat is truly a marvel of nature, just hiding there in plain sight. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What other secrets are they hiding, right there in our own homes?